Hi, I'm Paul and welcome to this tutorial for Tog247.com. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to get rid of the dark shadows you can sometimes get when shooting portraits against a white background. This happens sometimes because your lighting isn't set up correct, or in this case I have one studio light which sometimes fires incorrectly. So the first step of the process is to go to our adjustment layers and choose levels. Then I want to take the black level slider all the way, or nearly all the way across to the right, and this will then highlight or show up the shadow which we're going to remove. The next step is I need to go back to my background layer by clicking on it and then selecting the dodge tool. Now I can either do this by using the palette on the left hand side or using the keyboard shortcut O. The next step is to choose a quite low exposure level. You can change your exposure levels by either, one of many ways, by either sliding the exposure up or down, by pressing the 1 key for 10%, 2 key for 20%, etc., all the way up to 0 for 100%. And if you type these in quick enough, so if I go 03, I get 3%, which is the exposure I like to work at. Also, if you're using CS4, there's this new feature, Protect Tones, which you want to make sure is checked off, otherwise this will stop this process working. The next step is to start dodging out the shadows we don't want. You can just do this by brushing away with the dodge tool to get rid of the shadows. Like so. You might notice some of the dark ones here take a little more going over, but it's still quick and easy. And as you get closer into a subject, you need to zoom in. Hold the spacebar key to reposition your image, left bracket key to reduce the brush size, and again painting in the exposure level you want. Our next step is to start working on this area here around the flower, and I must point out at this point I'm using a graphics tablet. It's a A4 size one, which makes jobs like this a lot easier. Again, if we can drop down, probably because the shadow is quite light, to probably about 2% exposure, and getting in quite close. Working on this shadow here. And with using a graphics tablet, the harder I push on, the wider the brush goes. So even though it might look at some points like I'm painting over the areas I'm doing, I'm actually not, because the brush tip isn't as wide as it appears on Photoshop. So I'm just going to go around now and remove this. Bracket key. Taking out all this shadow here. And also, I'll show you as well, you might be able to see this, because we're working at such a low exposure level, you may even be able to get away with a pass over of some of the areas you're working on such a bold subject. If this doesn't work, I can go back and show you the proper way. So if you look there, it's took away no detail there of any of the flower. Just get rid of the rest of this. Zoom back out. Now to check if there's any other areas that need doing, click back on our levels, push the black right over, and you can notice on the left hand side here another area has appeared. You probably wouldn't be able to see this on any normal photo, but I like to get rid of it anyway. So we go back to it, dodge it out on a low percentage again, and that is one bit there. that is our cleaned up shadow free image. The next step would be to go back to our levels and give the levels a little tweak and flatten the image. And there we go. That was this tutorial from Paul Walker at tog247.com.